Okay, Victor and the Yes team are excellent impresarios. I think sometimes Victor may have missed his true vocation, which was probably to be a Broadway producer or something. They have a sense of the moment, a sense of what is important, and a sense of drama. And so I believe they have made an excellent decision by closing off the conference with this panel. From my perspective, we have had a great couple of days with great conversations. But for me, this is the most important one. The people sitting on this stage, except for me, are the people who are actually fighting. The people who are quite literally in the trenches, making the decision to put their lives on the line. I think it's incredibly brave. I feel very privileged that we're going to be able to hear from them. And I think their perspective of all the voices that we have heard over the past 2 days is the one that matters the most. How we're going to organize this is I'm going to give each person a chance to make an introductory remark. Then we will get lots of questions. And I'm going to leave like 5 minutes at the end so we can have a blitz round at the end and each panelist can say what's the one thing they want us all to go home understanding. Okay, добре, ми готові? Okay.
Are we prepared? We start with Oleg Sentsov. I guess that not only the entire Ukraine, but the entire world know who he is, what he is, know what he gone through. We know about his heroism. And thank you very much that you're with us. My question to you is a couple of words about yourself and why you have chosen this path in life, and what is your answer to the great question of this conference, how to end the war. Do you hear me, everybody? Good afternoon. I am Oleg Sentsov. I am a Ukrainian citizen. I am a film director. I'm a former political prisoner. 5 years I've spent in a Russian prison. At the moment, I'm a military serviceman and a person who went from a volunteer in territorial defense to the commander of a battalion. When this will end? Well, everyone would like to see this sooner than later. We all believe that this will end with the victory of the forces of light, and we all believe that this should be sooner. And I do not see this war as a local conflict of Russia attacking Ukraine. This is a broader conflict between the axis of evil, China and their satellites, including Russia, who want to change the world order and expand their boundaries, both old and new zones of influence, and to work not according to the principles that the civilized society professes, but according to totalitarian principles. And of course, our fight bears on what this world will see in the future.
One of the things I know we've had some great conversations with Tim Snyder, who, by the way, is now one of my constituents in Toronto. And one of the points that Tim has been making is that the Scythian civilization was actually here in Ukraine. And the Scythians were notable for having women warriors. In fact, the Amazons were Scythians. So there's a great tradition on our territory here of women warriors. We see that today in the armed forces of Ukraine. We have 2 of them with us. Oksana is one of the great women war leaders. I'm also quite happy that she shows not only can you be a great woman and a fighter, you don't even need to be that tall. Оксано, розкажіть нам про себе трошки, чому ви вибрали цей шлях?
Would you please tell us why you have chosen this way and from your point of view how to end the war? Hello everyone, I am Oksana. My call sign is Zina and I joined the army in 2022 for the simple reason that in 2014 I was 11 years old. When the Russian-Ukrainian war went into the next stage, I don't want to say that it began there, because this is our centuries-long fight. So in 2024, until 2024, I was in infantry. Then I headed the platoon of drones. And at first we had a platoon of 6 people. Now I command a company of almost 200 people. At the moment we are positioned in Donetsk Oblast on the boundary of Dnipropetrovsk region. And if anyone had any thought that Russia would stop at several oblasts, or the 2 that were occupied in 2014, or those that they seized in 2022, no, they are going to they are continuing their onslaught, and they try to reach the oblasts where they were. They were not previously. I don't have a recipe how to end this war. I don't believe that any one of you has such a recipe. Otherwise, we would have long ago finished this war. However, I know some things about the efficient fighting so that we do not lose this country, because now we are fighting for the survival of our country, for the preservation of our nation, our culture and our language. And of course we have to be adaptive. We have to adapt to the conditions of warfare that we see now. The situation on the battlefield is changing every day. In 2022, 2025, we have different stages of the war. At the beginning of the full-scale invasion, infantry used to be our main force and our physical abilities. Now this is a technological warfare, and our skills, our capacity to adapt actually defines who will prevail on the battlefield. There's no doubt that quite a lot depends on the number of servicemen and women in any army, but adaptiveness is a very important factor. Then the ability to reskill. For 18 months I fought in the infantry. I respect infantry no end. But if we do not reskill, and if we do not learn to fight with other methods and means, we will lose our world and our dear and near. Then, of course, quality training and quality reserves are very important. And this pertains both to the nationwide level and the level of our units. I also think that efficient command is very important, and the learning, the training of our commanders and sergeants, because the adoption, the cool-headed decisions during the war are worth many, many lives. Why have we met today? This is, of course, the unity of our country and international support. Because you are here, I deduce that it is important for you. You are not indifferent to Ukraine's fate. And for me, if this is not the start of the Third World War, I think that we are very close to this, which may embrace most of the countries. And I say that every mistake may cost someone's life. And the lives of our military, of our friends, of our relatives, we cannot allow ourselves to make mistakes. Thank you very much for your support, for the fact that you are here, and I hope that your support will continue to help Ukraine.
Оксано, я мушу сказати від себе, це не вам дякувати аудиторії, а аудиторії вам.
It's the members of the audience who have to thank you rather than you thank them.
Okay, now we're going to hear from Yehor Firsov. He's the commander of the Muramasa UAV Strike Committee Unit of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Yehor, будь ласка.
Всіх вітаю. Звати мене Єгор Фірсов.
Indeed, I am Yehor Firsov, and I command a small unit, Muramasa being its name. When the war was starting, Russia had about 3,000 tanks, and my unit destroyed 3,000 tanks. Well, I mean, 1% of 3,000 tanks, but all of them were eventually destroyed. Thank you. Remember, Chrystia, you gave us a piece of advice as we were entering this room and said that we could start by sharing a personal story of yours. And look, this now, I think that I'm tired of sharing my personal stories. I have no personal stories to share after almost 4 years of war. So instead of sharing that story of mine once again, let me use what I think to address the audience. You asking how to end the war? Well, let's first look at what lies in the foundations of the war. Russia's hatred towards Ukraine. They want to destroy us. And second, they believe that they can overcome, that they can prevail. So this makes this war quite irrational, and you can't use rational methods to put an end to it. Billions of dollars. No, this is a wholly irrational story. Well, we cannot make those who hate us to love us. We can hate them in return for all the damage they caused, but their conviction, their belief, this is something that can be done away with. What it takes to dismantle this foundation of their faith, of their conviction. I've been thinking about that almost every day when I'm in the army, and currently I can say that it is only our force that can destroy this conviction. That's what we do every day. Our drones of different types, our drones that destroy their oil refineries. So only this is what can destroy, dismantle their conviction that they can prevail. Also, what makes them think that they can prevail? Well, our weakness, I'm talking about all of us, all those poses, procrastination, untimely decisions. This encourages them. They say, look at them. They are postponing decisions, so we will just capture them. It's not just about Kramatorsk or Kharkiv. They still probably believe that they will one day be in Kyiv. As I was coming here, I talked to my guys, asking them what they want me to say here. And interestingly, all of them, well, admitted that they have one common reason to fear. When they shell us at Kramatorsk or bomb us using their Shaheds, well, we have no fear. But as soon as they hit the towns where our families live, where our kids, where our wives, our parents are in threat, we can sleep. And this is something that makes us feel that fear. Because, after all, we are fighting for our families, for their safety, for their future. And if us, our partners, and there are dozens around, cannot protect, well, a relatively small territory like Ukraine, how do you think they will be protecting themselves in the future? Why can't we try and eventually protect our airspace using the brains, the funds, engineers, designers, and make it possible to, dismiss air raid alerts as a figment? I think that it is doable, it is feasible only if we consolidate our forces and act together. And finally, one other thing, and I would be great if everyone in Europe or the States could hear, and probably in Russia, indeed. We are tired. We are, well, not tired, we are exhausted. Many of us were shell-shocked, exposed to concussion, wounded. We lost our comrades in arms, our family members. Many of us have, but may you know this, no matter what can happen, we will never see our defeat in this war or our humiliation. Well, no more words. That's what I would say. Thank you. Thank you, Yehor.
Добре. Ми тепер почуємо від Dmytra Finashyn. He's a veteran. He's an advisor to the Minister of Internal Affairs on veteran policy. Дякую вам дуже.
Доброго дня.
Good evening. So you told us, share your story, then what you do in your current position and how we end the war. Well, 9 years in the army, and I follow orders. So this is a short story to share. Back then, I still was armed with 2 arms. Call sign Fin 2019. I am operator of a drone, deputy head of an air reconnaissance, a sharpshooter. The year 2023. Only 1 arm is left. I am awarded the Hero of Ukraine. I became an officer, not a sergeant any longer, doing intelligence, planning missions, and controlling the execution of those missions. 2025, I'm almost done. I am advisor to the Ministry of Interior on veterans policy, veterans affairs policy. Well, I'm trying to help myself and others like me. That's it. Now, episode 2. Fortunately, I attend YES on a regular basis, and every time I am here, I see familiar faces. I see familiar faces, hear familiar voices, and these voices get increasingly more confident, brave, and, well, radical, if I may use that manner of speaking. So my conclusion? Well, it's been too long. Impunity means laissez-faire. You can do anything you want. No, I'm talking about the world, not us. If we are going to get brave enough at this pace, we will never become brave enough. That's probably it for episode 3. And my principle is live as you preach. So when we discuss how we should end the war, consolidation, acting together, we see that nations continue trade with Russia, get richer, supply components Russia uses to build their arms, jet Shahids that are a challenge, have a bunch of Western-made components. I won't name the companies. So we have to make that decision where we are with the... Okay. Sorry, are we on the good side or on the bad side, on the light or dark? Well, doesn't matter if the wolf wears a sheepskin or the other way around. It is the wolf who will eventually devour the sheep. So you don't have to pretend to be a wolf to chase and kill it. Ukrainian proverb says, if you have to live with the wolves, you have to learn how to howl like a wolf. We live at the time of aggression, at the time of use of force. You can't be a weak sheep without any will. Thank you.
And this situation about the choice is important. It's our choice to take care of our citizens, of their well-being. It's our choice to bring new investments in our country. Or, on the contrary, do we have to give up cooperation with the aggressor nation, aggressor state? So if we make these difficult choices, we will have better prospects in the future. Just imagine a colleague of yours, a colleague who might be your co-worker and very close to you. Not a friend, but a close colleague. You work together, and it so happened that you are at a front line. And then this person is killed right next to you. And given the specificities of the situation at the front, in most cases, evacuation would not be very speedy, particularly when it comes to the bodies of the fallen soldiers. So it's all about this tough choice. The body will stay there unless we deoccupy the territories, but that is questionable. So do we have to risk our lives to retrieve the body, to identify it, to inform the relatives about the death of their husband, son, say, brother? And it might happen that the family will never learn what happened to their father, brother, son, or husband, and they won't be able to bury them with honor. So it's again your dilemma whether you have to retrieve the body or whether you leave it there so that the family has a missing member. So we are now at a time of very tough moral choices. And sometimes the fighters there at the front line will decapitate the bodies of their fallen comrades in arms to bring them back to the rear territory, to present that to the family so that they are identified, and then that the family could at least know what happened to their dearest and nearest, and plan their further life. And the situation is totally similar with the state of Ukraine. Will you leave Ukraine behind in this suspense, waiting for no one knows what? Or do you make this tough choice? You break a bit your comfort, you go out of your comfort zone, you actually hit your economy to a certain extent, but then you know how to actually move ahead because you know what happened. So either you stand with us or you leave us there at the battlefield. So we should be very definite in those tough choices, don't we? Shouldn't we? Thank you, Dmytro.
I have to say, sometimes Viktor and his team do such a wonderful job organizing these events. It can be a little bit too easy to have a good time and to enjoy the conversation, to enjoy the atmosphere. Я дуже вам вдячна, що ви нам нагадали, про що ми розмовляємо.
Thank you very much for this. Thank you for telling us what's going on in reality.
Okay, now we're going to hear from Volodymyr Demchenko. He is the commander of the Unmanned Systems Battalion of the 93rd Mechanized Brigade. Прошу.
Дуже дякую.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to thank you for caring about our country, about its destiny. And that inspires me as well, and it kind of pleases me. I'm a battalion commander of the Unmanned System Battalion, and when the all-out war started back in 2022, and when the first missiles started hitting Ukrainian cities, and when the Russian troops started invading into our territory, I couldn't sit on my hands, and I realized that I should join in the armed forces. I was a soldier then, a private, and over the 2 years of service in the 93rd Mechanized Brigade, I have grown or been promoted to the battalion commander. Thank you. Which testifies to the fact that I, as well as thousands of my comrades in arms in the armed forces of Ukraine, aspire to win. Back in 2022, the armed forces of Ukraine demonstrated that the quote-unquote second armed forces of the world turned into the second armed forces in the Ukrainian war, and that's true. Today, the unmanned systems cause huge damage to the enemy, inflicting extreme losses in artillery, in their man and kit. They have exhausted their military equipment. The personnel is being deactivated. They would throw in over and over new reserves, but they are also exhausted. And we do have every chance to win in this war. And I'm sure that not a single Ukrainian would give up freedom and independence. We would fight as long as it takes, and we will prevail. We've heard a lot about peace. Everyone wants peace. For Ukraine, for Ukrainians. I think that we also should realize that there can be no peace with terrorists. We have to overcome, to prevail together with our partners. We have to defeat the terrorist state that keeps killing our citizens, our civilian people, our children, and our old people. Yeah. We bear huge losses, even amongst civilians. We are not talking about territories now. People say you have to fight for the regain of the territory. You have to move ahead. But I would tell you, we have to defeat the enemy. That's our task. We have to become the iron sword and iron shield of our country. And we have to create conditions where we can go ahead, where we can push the enemy away from our land. Today, we are killing the enemy. They are losing their infantry, they're losing their artillery, and one day they will be stopped. They won't be able to move another meter in our territory. But for that, we need your support. We do have this aspiration, we do have this will and strength, and we do have faith in ourselves. So help us with weapons. In the times when we have shortage of artillery shells, we started killing the enemy with unmanned aerial systems. We first bought those drones abroad, and now we've got lots of Ukrainian companies producing those systems in Ukraine. And your investment in those companies are essential. If, for some political reasons, certain countries cannot provide us with missiles, with armament, with tanks, then you can help us with investment in our victory. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for a very simple recommendation.
Okay, Mariia, останнє слово з панелі до вас.
Mariia, you will be the last to speak in this panel.
She's going to speak to us in English, she is a tactical medic and instructor. Прошу.
The order of who comes after who was not planned, so I might be the worst person to end this panel because I do not see the end of the war. Because I have dedicated my whole life since 2014, since the beginning of the war, to military medicine. I have been studying in the army, I have been teaching in the army, I have worked in all stages of care, of medical care of soldiers, and I have been teaching, I don't know, thousands of people in every brigade that they come from. I taught people in every brigade that they're from. Yes, Yehor, and personally him, which I'm very proud about. So each time when we have come up with something new on the battlefield, the Russians have adapted to it and made it the same or a little bit better. Each time when I thought we use everything that modern medicine has, and I think very well of myself and my people, I think we do the best, it comes to a point when it doesn't work. So we have learned how to provide medical care in places which are totally not fit for that. So we have been doing what normal medical doctors do in sterile operation fields. We have done that in trenches. There is a guy in this audience who has personally planned the operation of dropping blood back from the drone to a hole in the field to transfuse that blood to a patient. And we have come up with it. And we have come up with that because every time we think we can end the war because we do this better, but it doesn't happen because the enemy develops the same. So I do not see the end of the war, but I think it's more important that I see future because I went on maternity leave. I have thought if I will wait until the end of the war, see, I'm a medic, I can tell, organism doesn't do that. You have to be a little bit faster. So to support that future, every day of the given life, every moment, I think that I have that future because I was lucky enough. I was lucky enough, and in last years, I was far from the front line enough. I was teaching in very safe places that are constantly bombed and shelled by missiles, but, completely safe compared to where my fellow medics are. So I was lucky enough, and you were all lucky enough to support the future and for all of us to be lucky. We now have to think how to end the war. Seeing that future and knowing that the best people are fighting for that future. And to see their portraits only in colors and not in black and white, I think we have dedicated all our effort to that future. Thank you for helping this.
Дякую вам, Mariia. Thank you, Mariia. I think you trained Yehor, right? Yeah, I think you trained Yehor, right? Так, вона вас тренувала?
Це була забавна історія, але
That was a funny story, but I won't be telling it right now, I think.
Мені доводилось, дивіться, 22-й рік. величезна кількість добровольців.
2022, there were a lot of volunteers. I was not a military person at that time, so I didn't know anything about a rifle or a gun, and people suggested that I start with tactical medicine. It's only after that that I started dealing with drones. But the thing is that Masha was recommended to me as top of the tops in that respect. Well, she played coy because there were so many volunteers and she was training the special operation forces, and I just got lucky that finally she was my first teacher on tactical medicine, and that knowledge came in very handy to me.
Okay, дякую. We don't have much time, but I think we have heard some amazing things. I think we'll have time for a couple of quick questions and then a blitz round with the panel to conclude. Okay, anyone want to make a comment? Andriy, okay, anyone else? Прошу.
Андрій Шевченко, Світовий конгрес України.
Andriy Shevchenko, the World Congress of Ukrainians, and ex-ambassador of Ukraine to Canada. Why not? How do you see in practice delimitation between the Ukrainian and Russian forces? We saw publications about 3 lines of delimitation: demilitarized zones, Ukrainian zone, then NATO troops. Maybe this is a utopia. What could be the role of drones in the delimitation of the military of Russia and Ukraine on the Ukrainian territory? And with this, I thank you for your service and for your input in today's conversation.
Okay, we could take a couple more comments or questions if anyone has them. Going once. Going twice. Okay, gone. Okay, so super quickly, я може українською скажу. Ви можете
I will say in Ukrainian, you can answer the question of Andriy, the ex-ambassador to Canada, or to share your last thoughts with us, and we will go in the opposite order. Masha, please, you will be first.
Yehor started to talk about how he tried to make his way into training. So every time when somebody talks about Western ally forces in Ukraine, I think we have to train them too. I believe very much. I have seen many of our ally armies in training. We have trained with American, British, German, Latvian, Lithuanian guys, everybody. They are just great. I'm not sure that they're ready for what they can see here. So might be good to still help us to do our job, because we never asked for people, we asked for tools, and we operate these tools brilliantly.
Okay, wonderful. Володимире, останнє слово.
Я візьму. Дякую. Стосовно розмежування,
Thank you.
як я вже і казав,
As regards the disengagement and delimitation, I believe that this presupposes signing a peace agreement. I spoke about the final victory over Russia. So, first of all, we have to focus all our efforts on weakening Ukraine and its military machinery. We have to destroy the major facilities in the rear, deep inside Russia, oil industry, defense industry, and infrastructure, defense infrastructure. And after that, we should build up our capabilities and go to on an offensive and to put an end to this war. That's it.
Як це було...
Okay, Victor adds, він не бачить розмежування. He doesn't see a separation.
Як то казалось в одному, не пам'ятаю, старому якомусь...
As it was said in one old joke, the punchline, we'll give you just the punchline without the whole joke. to build a big wall, and the area around it should be paved over.
Останнє слово.
Dmytro, you'll be the last.
Останнє слово звучить не дуже.
Well, the last word does not sound nice to me. I apologize.
Останнє хай буде.
Чітке рішення про припинення бойових.
Well, there should be a clear-cut decision about putting an end to hostilities on both sides, because no matter whether we have walls, trenches, fortifications, there are some UAVs which can be used even against those facilities, and they hit their targets quite accurately. And unless the military have a clear-cut order to stop shooting, they will continue shooting on the other side one way or another, because this is a game which takes two. And we will go back to anti-terrorist operation or special military operation or whatever you decide to call it. Russia should be forced to peace if they sign an agreement and decide that they are not going to prosecute this war any longer. Then we will do likewise, and it'll be a mirror reflection on our part. But this is just the thought of a lieutenant who may be very much mistaken on that. I think you put it right. Igor? The final thought? Well, the final thought will be like this. I will repeat what I've already said, because I think these words are important. It took me 3.5 years to come to that. We have to destroy the Russians' belief in their possible victory. This is the most important thing. Every time when we ask ourselves what we can do, everyone in each individual trench, each and every one of us should do their utmost to make Russia stop believing that they can win over us. Oksana, when we speak about disengagement, we speak about concessions, probably, that Ukraine will have to make to give up territories, borders, to accept redrawn borders. For me, this automatically means to betray those who have laid down their lives for Ukraine, our loved ones, dear and near. And for me, this is totally unacceptable. My boyfriend was killed in February last year, and I would not like to betray what he was fighting for. And my fight is dedicated to the memory of all those who are no longer with us. And myself, as a military person, I do not want and will never agree to give up our territories, because for me that would be tantamount to betrayal. But the war is not just about weapons. This is also about the people, about keeping their lives and the lives of our loved ones who await us at home, just like the lives of all those who live in Ukraine and who came here to attend this event. We military find it difficult to speak about diplomatic topics, because in our positions, we are in charge of the strictly allocated areas that we defend, but we very much would like to make sure that the diplomats, when we have discussions like ours, should not forget that this is all about lives of the people. And these black and white portraits of the people who look at us from the wall, I have been fortunate to see some of them at the front line.
Дякую дуже, Оксана. Дуже дякую.
Thank you very much.
Олег,
Oleg,
страдали?
Ну,
Закінчуйте цей панел.
over to you, please. Bring this panel to a
у мене
close.
погані для вас новини.
I have bad news for you.
Війни, вона завтра не закінчиться.
No matter how long we speak about the end of the war, it's not going to end tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, or maybe even this year. That's why I've always said that we should speak less about how to end this war and what to do after the end of the war, but to do more to make sure that we prevail in this war. This is the first point. The second point is about disengagement. The war is changing, and the war which we had in 2022 is no longer with us. Infantry sit in their foxholes and hide from UAVs. No onslaughts, just small squads, infiltrations, maneuvers, and so on. And the war will be even more different in the future. There will be a time when the front probably will stand still, because any movement forward will be about killing, and because everything will be a kill zone. Now the front line is moving slightly, but not very much, and a day will come when it will stand still, and then probably Putin will think about what to do next. And the second point, when this front line is stalled and we start discussing it, it's important to continue to bring pressure to bear on the Russian Federation, because it'll be not just about the front line disengagement and so on, but this will be about a change of political regime in the Russian Federation. When Russia admits that this war was a mistake, that they will admit it politically, and they will say, we were wrong, please, we beg for your forgiveness, and we will repent for the rest of our lives. That will be our victory. But for this victory, we still have a lot to do, and I call upon all of you to do this so that this day would come sooner rather than later.
Я думаю, що нам треба сказати «Слава Україні!»
I think we should say
Це
Slava
наші герої.
Ukraini, Героям
Дякую вам.
Слава, and these are our heroes. Thank you.
It's not easy to conclude our conference after such panel, such emotional panel, but allow me to say some words. First, I heard during these 2 days from many participants that if you want to understand the situation better, if you want to understand Ukraine, if you want to see the position of international community towards this war, this conference is the best place in the world. And I fully agree with that. Really, this 2 days was a lot of very substantial discussions, very deep opinion, very emotional exchange of everything. We started with great introductory remarks of Viktor Pinchuk, in the history of, yes, one of the best, maybe the best. Congratulations. We heard very, very interesting, very calm, very deep, very pragmatic statement and answers of President Zelensky. We had a chance to listen President Stubb, who is really a fantastic politician, not only one of the best golf players among the politicians, but really the great, great politician, understanding the reality and deeply understanding the history of our own country, especially with long relations with Russia and Soviet Union. And then finally we heard this extremely emotional, touching panel with the veterans. And what to say after so fantastic, so rich 2 days? The first, and that is something pessimistic, why we cannot end this war. Because we have a Putin, we have Russia, and we have absolutely politics which is not interested to find the end of the war, to finish this historical mistake, in my opinion, for Russia and tragic days for Ukraine. He wants, what we mentioned here last year and today again, he wants to have entire Ukraine the hands of Russia and his zone of influence. And he will use all kinds of methods to achieve this goal. So that is the main reason, and that is necessary to convey this message to the public opinion in the world. That is not because we have some problems how to end the war, how to find a compromise, even how to speak about the territories. Ukraine is ready to discuss all the things. The main problem is Putin, and I tell you even more, it's a problem of the successors of Putin as well, because this war is supported by majority of Russians. And that is not Putin's war. That is a Russian war against Ukraine. We admire, and it's necessary to repeat and repeat again and again, we admire Ukrainian heroism. Everything what Ukraine showed to the world is unbelievable. From the first days of the war, nobody expected that you will be so brave, so well organized, so determined. I remember discussion in the first days of war, 3 days, 7 days, 10 days, Kyiv will be in Russian hands. Kyiv is independent, Kyiv is free, Kyiv is so nice for all guests from the world. And we are safe here in Kyiv as a guest of this conference, not only because of presence of General Kellogg, but because of armed forces of Ukraine, because of good governance of this state. Of course, I respect General Kellogg and his presence, like President Zelensky said. That is okay, that is better for us. So this heroism, this determination is something what is necessary to continue, and we heard last minute's veterans and soldiers, we know that they will continue this fight. They will be so determined. Our task is to continue our unity, to continue our support, to continue all kinds of assistance and help for Ukraine, militarily, politically, financially. And I see the huge risk because we have a lot of domestic problems. And sometimes we are too busy about ourselves to think about these main values which are fighting here in Kyiv, in Ukraine. Poland, polarized society and politics. France, new governments, last and next, etc. Elections in many countries. No, we cannot waste time. We cannot waste our efforts on our domestic problems because they are peanuts if you want to compare it with the war here, with the fight against general values. America is the next point. So I'm satisfied that President Trump finally realized that this war is impossible to finish in 24 hours and in 2 weeks and 3 months, etc. I hope that President Trump will understand that we need fair peace, we need fair negotiations, and finally we need negotiations. We need to start to discuss these issues with Putin and with Russians. And I understand the temptation that would be good to have a result soon, sooner, faster. But the pace, the speed of the process is not in favor of Ukraine. It's not in favor of Ukraine. We need to be clever, wise, and patient to reach the goal. It means to say to Putin, such war, such aggression, such imperialistic politics cannot be continued in the world of 21st century. It's not easy, but it's possible. Finally, dear friends, we will continue our efforts, and I think our conference is a small element, is a small piece in this idea to organize very wide support for Ukraine and for all these peaceful efforts. And because this conference is a result of the work of many people, please allow me to say how we are grateful to Armed Forces of Ukraine. Applause. President Volodymyr Zelensky and his team. Applause. President of Finland, Alexander Stubb. My dear friends from Yalta European Strategy Board. And all our speakers and participants, and especially moderators. And now please applause as strong as possible. Farid Zakaria, 3 inks. Neil Ferguson, Anne Applebaum, Chrystia Freeland, Thomas Friedman, Natalia Gumeniuk, Boris Gudiak, and Gillian Ted. Now, please, applause should be a little bit limited because that is about sponsors. So, but we are very thankful for Google, Kyiv Star, and Renaissance Foundation. And last but not least, yes, team, Svetlana Kovalchuk and her people, Björn Geldhoff, Natalia Vovk, Svetlana Gritsenko, Thomas Weyer, and, wait, and Victor and Olena Pinchuk, the founder, and Olena. And please allow me, on the end of this farewell speech, I have to say, to be very much in Polish style. Because among so many good people, we have 2 angels. One angel is Olena. Please, flowers. Because I tell you, these flowers are for our angels, Olena and Svetlana. They help us every day, every second, so much. And I tell you, these flowers are from Kyiv, are from the street of Kyiv. And that is a good sign, because if on the street here in Kyiv you can find such beautiful flowers, it means the future belongs to this country, the future belongs to Ukrainians.